Right, fellas, really good start to this year. Going well in the deal to Bakar so far. Trying to make it 5 in a row, but now we switch our attention to the Europa League knockouts. It's a tough game, Lille, but we did pretty well last year, dropping down from the Europa League to the Conference League. Hopefully, we can do the same here from the Champions League. Okay, so just believe in yourselves, and we might be fine. Okay. Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 56 of Husavik Heroes here on Shaun Does FM. I hope you are doing well, and in today's episode we have got the first knockout round of the Europa League taking on Lille from Ligue A over 2 legs, and off the back of that we do have some transfers to run you guys through as well, with the transfer window opening a few days off the back of this first leg. So if you are looking forward to today's episode, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying this series here on the channel, also remember to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. It is greatly appreciated. But we have gone forward to February since the end of yesterday's episode, where we did wrap up the Champions League group stage. If you missed that one, I'll leave a link to it above my head in the top right corner. We obviously snuck our way into third to make these Europa League knockout stages and were drawn against Lille, which felt like it was a bit of a harsh draw. If we made it one step further, I think we would have got quite a kind draw in this competition, but probably a little bit of payback after our Champions League qualification and group stage. Those draws did favour us quite heavily, which did allow us to make the group stage of the Champions League. But we have gone forward a few months, had our proper end of season break, and had a few games leading into the first leg of this tie in the League Cup, the Deal to Bakar. We'll run you guys through the results of those shortly before we do get into the first leg of this tie, the first leg at our home ground as well. You can see off the back of that last game in the last episode against Porto, we have played a lot of friendlies, about a month off the back of that. Some pretty comprehensive wins to start things off, heading into the Deal to Bakar and picking up 2 pretty solid 3-0 wins to start things off. First off, away from home against Ploto Reykjavik, with goals to Larsen, Pedro and Corbo, albeit all those goals coming in the last 15 minutes. It took us a little while to warm up in that game, and then at home against Afteralding, this one a little bit more comfortable. A first half goal to Nicolucci, Caviglia, and then Mbiyamba and Bjarkason picking up goals in the second half. So that's how we have warmed up to get back into Europa League action. Those friendlies plus those 2 League Cup games have our team fairly fit going into this one, starting to get the green arrows on board for most of the players. The only player who does not have a green arrow in the starting lineup is Raul Prada, and that is because I did forget that Leandro Diaz was suspended for this game. I was more focused on the fact that Coutinho was out for this game after picking up a red card in that Porto game, a red card that pretty much cost us our place in the Champions League knockouts, albeit we might be a little bit better served down here in the Europa League anyway. But you'll see on screen we have made a few changes to our starting 11 for this year coming up. I felt like it was time potentially to bring a new era of player through here at the club, and there's a few players who were sitting in our reserves who could just be a little bit better than the options we already had at the club. Ian Carlo is coming in at right back, obviously because Coutinho's injured, but also because he has a fair bit of potential. Coutinho's on the last year of his contract. I feel like this is the year where we need to see what Ian Carlo can do as the first choice right back, and hopefully he'll improve on that 3-star ability rating. Diaz still our left back, but with him being suspended, Prada steps in to that left back slot for this game, but no other changes at the back. The other notable change to our team comes up front. We have put João Pedro on the bench, and that is because Benjamin Rubio just looks a bit better than him, honestly. I compared them for the role that we do use here, advanced forward, and he is just better when you compare the attributes for that particular role. So we are going to try Benjamin Rubio for this season, for the initial stages anyway, and hopefully he can pick up or improve on where João Pedro left us in that spot, albeit we do still have João Pedro on the bench should Rubio fail to fire, but he has looked quite good so far, despite not grabbing a goal in either of those Deal to Bakar games. So those are the changes to our starting 11, but otherwise pretty similar lineup to what we did have towards the end of that Champions League phase, with Larson starting on the left wing now over Bjarkason. Nygaard's nailed down that right wing spot, and our midfield's been pretty settled since the start of last season, as have our centre backs here for a few seasons now, as well as Sarah Fellaini as the first choice goalkeeper. So our team, a few little changes, but for the most part the same 11 that did take place in the group stages of the Champions League. Another quick look here at Lille before we do get into this game. Currently 5th in League O, playing a 4-4-2. Some decent players in amongst that 11 that they do have here. They've got Kone up front. They've got the likes of Barco, Sanchez and Adley in their midfield. It's a very strong midfield, a better team than we currently have here at Völsungur, but League A is the weakest of the top 5 leagues in Europe. They're currently just outside one of those Champions League spots and quite a way behind both PSG and Lyon. So it'll be interesting to see how we do match up against these guys. If we play as well as we're capable of, hopefully we can give these guys a good game over these upcoming 2 legs, and we'll come back shortly for the first of those from our home away from home, the Laugardarsvilla. And we do have TV coverage for this game. There is our lineup as we ran through before, having to make a few changes on the bench as well with those suspensions. Galido and Christiansson make up the bench with those suspensions in mind, and there is that Lille team looking pretty similar to what came up on the club info page before. They'll be heavy favourites for this tie, but hopefully we can upset them here, at least in this first leg in Iceland. 7 minutes gone here. First highlight in Lille's favour. They have a throw-in. Galtason deals with it, but Swiderski doesn't quite get on the end of that. Really nice ball that from Yassine Adli, and Ezekiel Barco makes it 1-0 Lille away from home very early on for them here after only 7 minutes, and that is not a good start. Galtason dealt well initially with that throw-in, but they did get possession back there maybe. Swiderski, I think that was, could have controlled it, but in the end Adli puts a really nice ball in there for Barco, and we go 1-0 down early in the home league. 30 minutes gone, a goal kick to Lille as they try and continue to put the pressure on us in this game. So far we have offered very little. They have had a few chances, but only that one highlight that we have been shown so far. So the scoreline does remain 1-0. If we can get a goal back here before half-time, that would be very useful, but we give possession away there right in the midfield, and they are on the attack again. Adley puts the ball towards the far post to Kone. It's just got a bit too much weight on it for him there. They are still on the attack though. It's a clearance there from Nygaard, but an absolutely shocking one. Probably should have looked to pick out a teammate there, and then just gives possession straight back to them, and that's really soft in goal that from Sarah Fellaini, and Jetta makes it 2-0 Lille at the half-hour mark in our home league, and this is not going to plan at all. Obviously, this being a lot tougher than taking on teams from the Icelandic top and second tier so far, but it's a really soft goal to concede. Came from that poor clearance there from Nygaard, it has to be said, and we're in trouble early here in the first leg, 2-0 down before halftime. And that is halftime in this first leg, 2-0 down. We have offered very little. We did up the tempo from low to high off the back of conceding that second goal, because we're going to need to play with a bit more impetus in this second half, but things not going well. Our right back and left back struggling, which is not ideal. In fact, a lot of players out there are struggling, to be fierce, and not a good half from us here. Hopefully, we can give the boys a bit of a rev up here at halftime and improve in the second 45 minutes to try and get this to a better situation going into the away league. Okay, 48 minutes gone. We're going to make a very early change here in the second half just to send a bit of a message to the boys more than anything else. Carlo's now down to a yellow heart to go alongside that 6.3 rating. We'll take him off. Adri Garrido can come on for him, our third choice right back, albeit not too much difference between him, Carlo and Coutinho these days. Early in the second half, still 2-0 down. 52 minutes gone. It looks like this could be a free kick in our favour. Garrido takes it. Rubio. Nygaard just gets beyond the defence. What can he do? Inside the box. Nicolucci Caviglia, some good short passing. Adri Garrido straight in off the bench. He gets an assist in the Europa League, and we get our first goal in the Europa League this season, obviously having previously been in the Champions League, and we are back in this at 2-1 about 10 minutes into the second half. Nygaard lays that back to Garrido, and Nicolucci Caviglia with one of those runs just on the edge of the inner box rockets that into the top right corner, and we are back in this at 2-1, albeit a highlight here to Lille straight off the back of that, giving them a ton of space inside the box on the left-hand side. And that is way too soft just after we find a way back into this tie. The 2-goal cushion is restored there by the French side, and they make it 3-1 on the day. A double to Jutta. You can see here the free kick taker Barco just makes a lot of space there down the left-hand side. No one marking him. It's a bit poor from us, and then Jutta with a simple tap-in really there into the bottom right corner. And just after we get back into this, it is now 3-1 to Lille, and that's a good save there from Sarah Fellini to keep it at that scoreline. Nygaard starts to make his way down the right-hand side with possession. Can something happen from that corner miss? It can't. Approaching the hour mark, we are 3-1 down. I think it's time for us to make another substitution here as well. Fredrik Larsson on a 6.3 rating, yellow heart. I think he's the next player who we will take off, and coming on for him will be Bjarkason, our regular starter from last season. We could take Raul Prada off on a 6.1, but don't really want to play Christiansen as a left back. He's much more of a centre back, so we'll try João Pedro up front. Rubio just struggling today a little bit, so a bit of a reunion of the front three that was playing throughout most of last season for us there. Those will be our last subs, looking for a few more goals here in this last half hour to try and take something into the away league, as we're currently 3-1 down. And not long off the back of those substitutions, we are in position trying to get something going here down the right-hand side. Garrido, Nicolucci, Nygaard. What can we do? Can we get another goal back here and hopefully not concede straight off the back of it like we did before? Some very patient play from us here, but don't mind that too much as we're having a good little spell of possession. Good short passings. Swiderski slots through Larsson. Can he slot this away? Takes it around the goalkeeper, puts it under him. A bit of a harbour bridge situation there. And we are back in this yet again. Hopefully this time we can hold on for a few minutes off the back of this goal, because it is 3-2. We will just change a few things with Larsson scoring that goal. I actually think we're going to make a change here. Instead of taking him off for Bjarkason, we will make a switch with Arnason coming on for Nygaard instead. Arnason's a player who's actually better rated in terms of the attributes for that right wing role. I just like having Nygaard there with his set pieces, and because Arnason's a very good backup Mazzala, but we'll switch that change that we were going to make right back in this now. 3-2 with 25 minutes left of this home league. 74 minutes gone. Lille on the attack here. Good slide tackle from Swiderski, but it does fall to Barco. Hopefully we don't concede for that. Might be all she wrote unless we can grab a few more goals late in this game. And they are on the attack. Jutta, who is on for his hat-trick, puts one into the mix. We do hit it clear. Stelic in there for Barco. Is he onside? No VAR check, so he must have been, and that's another dagger blow there. We have been really poor defensively at home. This would have been our worst defensive performance for quite some time, I feel like, here, as we are now 4-2 down. Dealt with that first ball quite nicely there through Mbayama, but we were just a little bit 6s and 7s for that next ball put in there from Stelic. And with 15 minutes left, the 2-goal advantage to Lille is restored.
Yeah.
80 minutes gone, and this is just terribleness on top of terribleness that this game has been so far. Galtason has picked up an injury, and of course, we have already used all our subs, as you can see there. So for the last 10 minutes, we are going to be playing with 10 men, still 2 goals down. And not long off the back of going down to 10 men, a highlight in our favour. Prada on the ball before he is having an absolute shocker at left back. So hopefully Leandro Diaz can pick things up in the next game. Lovely ball there from Pedro though, and we get a goal, and that brings us back into this tie somewhat. That's a big goal down to 10 men, and it is to Arnason. So a couple of our substitutes are linking up quite nicely there. Good hold-up play here from João Pedro, and Arnason just finds a good little pocket of space there right on the penalty spot. Rockets that top left corner, and then we are only down by a goal here with 5 minutes left. 91 minutes gone. It's a corner to Lille. Hopefully we deal with this. They get their head to it. It goes just over the bar, but inside these last 6 minutes here of injury time, and now it is a throw in our favour. If we get a goal here, this would be a pretty big result considering the ending part of this game, and it's gone straight through the goalkeeper's hands, and João Pedro puts that top left corner, but was he onside? The Lille goalkeeper will certainly hope so. That was an absolute shocker. Anthony Taylor in charge of this game, and the goal is awarded. That is a massive comeback from us here in these last 10 minutes with only 10 men, 2-0. Since going down to 10 men, Anason will pick up an assist to go alongside his goal. Absolute howler from the Lille goalkeeper there. We will just change a few things here off the back of seeing this replay, because this result, considering the situation, not too bad. It is fair to say there you can see Pedro is being played onside by their left back, and we'll just change things up for these last few minutes just to absolutely make sure that we don't get another red card and that we don't blow the situation that we have found ourselves in. Only 2 minutes left of time in this game, 4-4, which after being 2-0 down at half time and going down to 10 men at 4-2 with 10 minutes to go is actually a really, really good result. Good late impact from us there. Those changes that we made did work for the most part. Garrido with an assist, Arneson with a goal and an assist, and the same for João Pedro. And that's a pretty good come from behind draw, albeit conceding 4 goals at home. Not ideal. Lille are probably still in the box seat to go through in the home league, but we have given ourselves a chance in a game that we didn't really play that well, and so that's not too bad going into the away league. Hopefully we'll be a lot better in that one, but it is all to play for, locked up at 4-all as we do head in to that away league. We'll tell the boys that they did pretty well considering the situation at halftime, and as I said, with that injury to Galtason as well, we'll have to come back shortly and check on that before we do get into the second leg of this game. We'll definitely tell the media that the referee had it bang on with the amount of stoppage time he had in that game, and it is 4-all going into the second leg of our tie. You can see on the left-hand side there, most ties pretty evenly poised apart from the ones involving Nice and Bayer Leverkusen, but we are still right in it, albeit a draw in the home league, not ideal, but we've given ourselves a chance going into that away league, and we'll come back shortly and see how bad that injury is to Galtason before we start that away league. And back in the medical centre before we do get into the second league, we do actually have a couple of injuries. Kurt Shaun, one of our backup centre-backs, has picked up the flu. Luckily, we were actually able to register Mbeba for this upcoming phase as well as Kurt Shaun, so a little bit more depth at centre-back, and one of our youngsters who we signed in the mid-season transfer window last year. He's also picked up a cold as well, so a little bit of a virus going around at the club, but unfortunately, Brynjar Galtason is definitely out for this game and probably for the rest of our European campaign as well, dislocating his shoulder during a tackle. He is out for 5 weeks to 2 months. Probably not the worst time to pick up an injury if we do get knocked out after this Lille game, because we've just got the deal with Bakar and then a couple of month break until the start of the season, but it does mean that Noam Bonnet is going to have to come into the starting lineup for this game, and we're a little bit weak at DM, at least in the players that we do have registered for the European competitions for the rest of this season, but we'll see how long that lasts. Lille definitely favourites going into the second leg, albeit grabbing a late draw in that first leg does give us a chance, but we will have to play a lot better than we did in that home league. We've made a few little changes to the starting 11 just to see if that's going to help us out in the second leg, and we'll come back shortly with those changes in team sheets from the stud Pierre Malloy in Lille for the second leg of this Europa League first knockout round. And here are the team sheets for the second leg. There are Lille. They have had a change in goal with their usual goalkeeper being injured, which might be good considering the error that he made last time around. Diaz is back at left back for us. Bonnet up in the defensive midfield. And we are also starting João Pedro this time. Ben Rubio didn't quite perform as well as I was hoping he would in that first leg, so Pedro comes back up front, but hopefully we see an improved performance here and can sneak our way into the next round of the Europa League knockouts. 24 minutes gone. First highlight here is a throw-in to Lille yet again, dominating the early phases of that game. Really nice ball here for Akone, takes it around. Sierra Fellini in goal, just ended up in absolutely no man's land there thanks to that ball. It was from Yaseshi, and they do make it 1-0. About halfway through the first half, the first highlight that we do see, it's a simple long ball forward, and he's just got too much pace for the defence there. In the end, I don't think we can blame the goalkeeper too much for that. Akone just too quick, and Lille get the advantage after 25 minutes of the second leg. 36 minutes gone, it's a free kick here to Lille. The second highlight that we see, they do get ahead to that. The assister from the first goal just puts that high and wide, though. It does remain 1-0 to Lille on the day, and because of that, they do have the advantage in this time. They are on the attack yet again absolutely dominating us here so far, and no one picks up a Kone. Luckily, his shot is straight at Sarah Fellini, just does enough there to parry it out for a corner. We have upped the tempo too high since conceding that first goal. We seem to be better against these guys with that, and there's another good save there from Sarah Fellini off that corner, so we are under all sorts of pressure in this game so far. Another corner this time, Mbiyamba does deal with it, and it remains 1-0 Lille, just shy of half-time in the second leg. And that is half-time here in the second leg, 1-0 down. Looking at the stats, we probably should be further down than that yet again. Another really poor first half from us there, so we're going to need a similar sort of reaction to what we had in the first leg. A number of players on poor ratings as well, 6.4s for Corbo and Diaz. You got Larson and Pedro on 6.3, so don't think any substitution is going to help us out too much at this stage, but we do only need one goal to get back in this tie in these last 45 minutes. Early highlight here in the second half. It's another corner here to Lille, far post, and it's Walter who puts that high and over the bar, so good early chance for them there, but it remains 1-0. And not long off the back of that early chance to Lille, we did put a ball into the box there. It was dealt with, but we do have possession back just outside of the box, and hopefully we can get something going for the first time in this game. Good short passing. Nygaard with a simple chance, but it's a really weak finish straight at the goalkeeper. More or less, those are the chances we need to be taking, but it remains 1-0 Lille, and we are going to make a substitution off the back of that Larson now, down to a 6.2, and on a yellow heart, so Bjarkason can come on for him for these last 40 minutes. 59 minutes gone, another highlight potentially here in Lille's favour, a throw-in from a very similar spot to where they scored their first goal from Walter, out to Yasiki, although Diaz is able to get in the way of that, a 6.4 for him, so just struggling with our left backs in this tie so far, and that's a bit of a soft goal to concede there. Walter Gonzalez gets that past Sarah Fellini at the near post, and that might be all she wrote. We need 2 goals inside the last half hour. It is a half hour, so we're not completely out of this, but the way we're going today doesn't look likely. We needed Nygaard before to slot that chance away. That is one that either Mbiyamba should be blocking or Sarah Fellini should be saving, but we're going to make our last few substitutions at this time because our left side of the defence both on 6.3 ratings, which isn't good enough, so Mbeba can come on for Corbo, Prada on for Diaz. Hopefully he goes better than he did as a starter in that first leg, but we'll try and shore up our defence and go from there in this last half hour, now needing 2 goals to take this to extra time. And not long off the back of those substitutions, it was a long ball played forward there from Lille, but Carlo does deal with it, and we look to play out from the back. That's an absolute shocking pass from Bonnet. Luckily, though, a Kone with a similar type finish to what Nygaard did before. Very fortunate there. Still 2 goals down, though. 71 minutes gone. We do have a goal kick, looking for 2 goals here. Now, in the last 20 minutes, we have gone a little bit more direct with our passing style as well. It's still pretty short, but not quite as short as what we usually would play, trying to do all sorts of stuff now, a little bit different to usual to try and get something going here against the Lille team, who we have struggled to break down apart from the second half of that first leg, where we did score 4 goals, a really good half from us there, but apart from that, we have looked a bit bereft of ideas, albeit Nygaard's miss before was crucial. Here's a good chance. Force for Dursky yet again, straight at their goalkeeper. We need to be taking these chances. Starting to prove costly, still 2 goals down, approaching the last 15 minutes. 88 minutes gone, a throw-in deep inside our own half. We need a bit of a miracle from here if we are to continue our European journey here in the 2025-26 season. We do give the ball away off that throw-in, and Lille look to play out from the back. We have gone to a tactic, or at least passing style, which is a lot more similar to what we did in our wing play system, just to see if that helps out late trying to get a goal in this game. Sviderski, tight angle, actually takes it around the goalkeeper this time and puts it away. If only he did that before as well, but we have a little bit of a glimmer of hope here coming into injury time in this game, albeit still very unlikely. Good ball there from Nicolucci Caviglia, and finally we take one of these chances presented to us one-on-one in today's game. I said we were a little bit bereft of ideas before. We have actually created a few chances, but just haven't quite taken as many of them as we have needed to, and unfortunately it doesn't look like we are going to create anything more. We go down 2-1 in the second leg and 6-5 on aggregate to Lille. We gave these guys a pretty close run tie, considering we didn't really play that well over both legs for the most part. Just that second half of the first leg, the only exception. Apart from that, Lille were well on top of us, so not too disappointing a result that, but in the end, Lille just way too good for us despite the 1-goal differential over those two legs. So we'll tell the boys we're disappointed, but a little bit unlucky, I feel like, there, because we were the underdogs and we actually gave them a pretty close run thing despite being a fair bit off our game. Might have a few interesting decisions to make off the back of that in terms of areas where we do look to improve the squad, maybe left wing and left back, because our left-hand side did seem to struggle across both legs of that Europa League knockout tie, but we are out of Europe in the first round of the Europa League knockouts, going out 6-5 on aggregate to Lille. On the left-hand side there, you can see the other results and which teams did go through, but we'll come back shortly and have a look at the transfers that we have made now that the transfer window has opened going into the next episode. And here we are in the transfer history part of the transfer centre and looking at the transfers that we have made. We have spent £3 million and only got rid of £3.8 thousand, and that's mainly due to some loans of players who we did recently sign. But we'll start off with the outs here. First off, Hugo Dupont, who's been about a third or fourth choice left back here at the club for the last few seasons. We have got him off our books. He has gone to HK on a free before his contract was due to expire. HK do have quite a good left back on their books at the moment, and he's actually wanted by a few clubs in Italy as well. So that's a situation that we are going to monitor, but I imagine he's going to be a backup to that player who is Icelandic nation as well in terms of eligibility for continental competition. So he'll be quite a good pickup if we could get him, if one of those Italian sides did go in for him. But Hugo Dupont has left us on a free transfer, was not going to get much game time, especially with the Greek left back that we did sign throughout last season. He is now going to be stepping up from the under-19s when needed to be our third choice left back. But he had a few appearances in his first couple of years here. I got a loan to Acrones in one season down in the one deal as well, but didn't feature too much for us there. A free transfer, not making a profit on him, but he has gone to a fellow Icelandic team, so I feel like that's not quite as bad of a deal after he joined us from Marseille early on in the save. So Hugo Dupont was the first player to leave us, and in fact the only player who has left us so far on a permanent deal. Otherwise, we have been loaning out some players to other clubs so far in the top division and down in the one deal. So that's quite good, starting to get some teams up towards the top divisions looking at some of our younger prospects for some first team football. But now we make our way over to the ins, and we start off with a player who could actually end up being our best left winger at the club. This is a player who was released on a free transfer. We picked him up fairly shortly after we were able to. This is Sergio Cadena, a 19-year-old from Colombia. 3-star current ability, 4.5-star potential, and he does look very promising. Towards the end of his contract, he was wanted by some clubs like Chelsea, Porto, PSG. None of those clubs ended up going in for him, so we absolutely took the opportunity to bring him to the club, especially when his demands went down from something like a star player to being a breakthrough prospect as well. That pretty much sealed the deal, because I can't guarantee him exactly what he wants at the moment, but if we continue to struggle out on that left-hand side, Sergio Cadena could be a player who makes his way up into that first 11 in the first team. He is a quite promising player out of Colombia and had a good couple of seasons recently at America de Cali, despite only being 17 and 18 years old at that stage. So he is a very promising player there. Sergio Cadena could hopefully be an answer to those left-wing problems that we did suffer in that Europa League knockout tie there against Lille. Off the back of that, we signed another couple of players from South America on free transfers. These are players who were down in the under-19, so we're not going to focus too much on these guys yet. Jasanjo has gone out on loan to Shaun, 2-star current ability, 4-star, potentially even 5-star potential for the 18-year-old Brazilian who does play left back, and alongside him we have got Luis Fernando at the club, another 18-year-old, 4.5-star potential, 1.5-star current ability for the centre-back, 1.95 metres tall, 17 jumping reach. He is a big boy. Hopefully he'll do a decent bit for us in the future if he does get some first team football at centre back. And off the back of that, we did do a few transfers just to potentially start phasing out some players at the club who do have contracts expiring and players who are less than 3-star ability. The first of those players who we are looking at potentially replacing is Kurt Shaun, and replacing him as a centre back mainly at the end of the season, especially with the way that the contract dates do work here in Iceland. We can register this guy for the next European season without having to worry about Kurt Shaun's contract expiring too much. So that's the method behind this particular move. But we have bought Samuel Afosu to the club, the 19-year-old German. He's got 2.5-star current ability, but 5-star potential, albeit only 4 stars of goal potential. He's another decently sized lad, 1.87 meters tall, 15 jumping reach, 13 heading, and as a ball-playing defender, he looks fairly decent in most of the attributes that we do want him to be. We only spent £85,000 on this guy, which looks like a decent bit of business considering that he does come from RB Leipzig. So that looks like a decent prospect at the club, currently in the under-19s, but he will step up to being one of our backup centre-backs towards the start of the next European season when Kurt Shaw's contract is looking like expiring. We'll probably let Kurt Shaw go considering that. And the other player that we might look at letting go of is Noam Bonnet. His contract is about to expire. 3-star current ability, 3-star potential. We have signed a player from Malmo for £500,000. This is Philippe West, a 20-year-old Swedish player. 2-star current ability, 4.5-star potential. Hopefully giving him a little bit of game time, especially while Galtason is out. That can rise that current ability. And by the start of next season, when Bonnet does leave us, he will be similarly rated and have a little bit more potential. He looks like a decent option for us in that halfback role, and he has spent time at Malmo, as you would have seen. No first team appearances, but a player with a fair bit of potential. We were looking at a few other prospects in this position. There was a really good looking player from Fiorentina who was 19 years old, another one from Portugal, but we had the money for them, but they weren't really interested in being anything other than a star player, and they would have been great backup options, or he would have been at the 3-star ability mark and the solid 5-star potential, but in the end they just weren't willing to accept the contracts that we were offering. So Philippe West ended up being about our third choice option in this position for a replacement to Noam Bonnet, who's actually gone down to 2.5-star current ability, but Philippe West is a player who will look to usurp Noam Bonnet. We can let his contract expire come the end of the season, provided that we do still have a bit of depth at defensive midfield, because we might still need to keep Bonnet as a good solid option there, but Philippe West is coming in to be a second choice option in behind Gattuso once he does get back from that injury. And to round things up, it was a deal that we said we'd probably do. We ended up doing it, even though he was a third choice striker for us last season. We have made the deal for Bjorn Boogie Goodness permanent, £2.4 million for the Icelandic striker. He's a pretty darn good striker, even though he's 2.5-star current ability, has 4-star potential, 22 years old, homegrown in nation, to the good option as a homegrown in nation third choice striker. I quite like. So we made that deal permanent. We've probably overpaid for him, although you look at his value there now, it's 4.8 to 7.6 million pounds, the most expensively valued player at the club, and he's only our third choice striker and behind both Rubio and João Pedro. So that's a good asset to have on the books. If anyone comes anywhere near that valuation of him, we'll probably look to sell him and get someone else in, but we have made that deal permanent, seeing as he was already at the club last season and actually did a decent job when we did call on him in games, especially the cup games that we did play him in largely before Rubio did arrive at the club. Got 3 goals from his 5 appearances in those competitions. So a good third choice striker alongside those new additions to the club, and that wraps up our transfer business so far. So we might have already fixed a few of the problems that we did just potentially identify in that loss to Lille. We might still go looking though for a left back if we can find one who's a little bit better than both Leandro Diaz and Raul Prata, as we did struggle quite significantly down that left side in that defeat to Lille in the first round of the Europa League knockouts. But that will do it for today's episode. I think it might have been a little bit of a long one. Unfortunately, that loss to Lille, but also bringing some new players in to the club who hopefully can help us out in the next European season, which hopefully we will start towards the end of this week. In terms of when we will come back for the next episode, I think what we might do is come back if we make the deal to Bakar semis and final, much like we have done over the last few seasons, just because it gives me a little bit of a chance to bridge that massive gap that we've got in between then and the start of the league season. You can see we did pick up a 4-1 win against Keflavik in between the games. In today's episode, actually conceded an early goal at the 4-minute mark, but came back well from that with goals to Kurt Shaw, Pat Ainscoe, Rubio, who did start that game off the back of his poor effort against Lille in the first leg. Maybe should have stuck with him. And also Philippe West in his debut picked up a goal as well, so that was very nice to see in the end. A good come from behind 4-1 win there at Keflavik, and that does mean we are top of our group, albeit not quite. We are, for some reason, below Lake near Reykjavik, even though our goal differential is better, but that is going to be an important game, already looking like a two-horse race there in our Deal to Bacard group, but we should be strong favourites to get out of that group, depending on what happens in this next round when we do take on Lechner at home. If we get through that, then we will come back for the semi-final and the final in tomorrow's episode. Otherwise, we will probably jump forward towards the league season, maybe come back at the end of May around when that Champions League final will happen, and do our European roundups. That's probably what's going to be coming up over the next few days, and off the back of that, we can get back into Champions League qualifying and see if we can match what we did this time around, albeit maybe we're better off placed in the Europa League and the Conference League based on what we did this season, just struggling a little bit more than usual, it feels like, in the European competitions proper. But that will do it for today's episode. If you did enjoy it, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already, also remember to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. But until tomorrow, where we'll hopefully have a Deal to Bacard semi-final and final, looking to win that competition for the 5th season in a row. Until then, thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.